Hello, this is Miss Louise coming from my reading house. How are you guys doing today? It's rainy, I know, but we still have to learn, right? And I'm so sorry to hear that school won't be back in session until next school year. I really miss you guys. Remember I said that every other day I'm going to teach you about words because we need words. We can't do nothing without words. We speak words. We read words. We see words. We need words. And I asked you, if you were a word, which word would you be? The other day, we talked about what kind of words. Who remembers the words that we talked about? Just think for a minute. What words did we talk about the other day? If you were a word, what would you be? Today, we're going to talk about contractions. And the title of my book today is If You Were a Contraction. Now, we see contractions are words made by combining two words and leaving out a letter or letters. And I gave you 3 examples. I and am equals I'm. And so we took out the A and the apostrophe replaced the A. That's what we use in contractions. The punctuation mark and apostrophe. She is, she's, we are, we're. So those are contractions on this side. These are the 2 words that make up the contraction. And we have the apostrophe. So today, we're going to read the book, If You Were a Contraction. And we see on the cover, we see our favorite little animals. And you see where he wrote could not, and that becomes couldn't. Would not, and that becomes wouldn't. This book is by Trisha Speed Saskin and illustrated by Sarah Gray. So let's see. If you were a contraction. Looking for contractions. Watch for the big words throughout the book. If you were a contraction, your best friend would be the apostrophe. You would change could not to couldn't and would not to wouldn't. So they work together. The apostrophe replaces the letter that you take away. In this one, we took away the O and replaced it with an apostrophe. Who's going to the store? Mama asked. I'm going, says Papa. I'm going, says Sister. So now those words that you see in the bold uppercase letters, those are contractions. We're all going, Brother says. Who is becomes whose. I am becomes I'm. And we are becomes we're. Contractions. If you were a contraction, you could add the word not to another word. Papa, don't hog the pancakes. You shouldn't overeat, Mama says. Don't worry, I wouldn't dream of it, Papa said. Do not becomes don't, should not becomes shouldn't, and would not becomes wouldn't. If you were a contraction, you could add the word is to another word. Who's missing a hat, Mama asked. I am, Sister said. Where's my hat now? It's right here, Brother said. So who is becomes whose, where is becomes where's. It is becomes its. If you were a contraction, you would add the word are to another word. The family enjoys the beach. They're building a sand sculpture. We're creating a piece of art, Sister exclaimed. And you're all dirty, Papa says. They are becomes there. We are becomes we're. And you are becomes you're. And they're at the beach. If you were a contraction, you could pair the pronoun I with another word. Now, what's a pronoun? A pronoun is a word that takes the place of a noun. So if you didn't want to call someone's name all the time, you could say she. And if you didn't want to call a boy's name all the time, you could say he. Those are pronouns. I'm wearing my rubber boots so I can splash in the puddles, Sister says. I'll wear my raincoat, Brother says. I'd wear rubber boots and a coat, Papa says. There are your contractions. Let's see. I am becomes I'm. I will becomes I'll. And I would becomes I'd. If you were a contraction, you could talk about the past. You could explain what did and did not happen. The past is what happened behind you. The past is always behind you, like when you were little. The pigs hadn't cleaned the house for a long time. We should have remembered to take out the trash, Mama said. It wouldn't have helped with the smell. It could have helped with the bugs, too, Brother said. Don't forget to clean up. Had not becomes hadn't. Should have becomes should have. And would have becomes would have. And could have becomes could have. If you were a contraction, you could take place in the present. In the present. So that's what's happening right now. What's for dinner? Papa asked. I'm having cookies, Brother says. I'm having popcorn, Sister says. Let's have pasta, Mama says. Everyone says that's a great idea. What is becomes what's. I am becomes I'm. Let us becomes let's. And that is becomes that's. Contractions. Those are the words we're talking about. If you were a contraction, you could take place in the future. Those are things that haven't happened yet. Papa says he'll learn to play the trombone. Sister says she'll learn to play the trumpet. Mama says she'll learn to be a singer. Brother says he'll learn to play the piano. And there'll be one fun family band. There go your contractions. So he will becomes he'll. She will becomes she'll. And they will becomes they'll. You and the apostrophe would always shorten things up. If you were a contraction. The end. So if you were a contraction, you could be a shortened form of two words put together. You could change it to it's and could and not to couldn't. What else could you do if you were a contraction? So if you had to be a word, what would you be? Think about being a contraction. Combining two words and leaving out a letter to shorten it, or letters. This is Miss Louise. Today our word was contractions. Tomorrow we'll hear a story. And don't forget to wash your hands. Have a great evening. Stay healthy. Bye-bye.